Da-dum. Hello, guys, and welcome. So let me turn the volume down a little bit. There we go. That's much better. Welcome, guys, to Astrology and Alchemy. It's usually Paranormal Sarah and Matthew Slozer, but guess what, guys? It's Memorial Day week, and so Matt is on business, as he shared last week on the show. So I'm going to do my very best to have kind of a dissociative stream with you. And we're going to show you a little bit of the prep. We're going to, if you join us weekly and have been a fan of the show for years, then you know that this is a time to get a piece of paper out. This is the time for you to be able to take that time to prep for your own intuition, get the validation that you want, and let me know what you have on the books for the astrology coming up in June. So, you guys, we are in the end of May. And so, June astrology, I have kind of looked ahead a little bit. And man, there's definitely some interesting vibes. There's definitely some interesting vibes going on. So, what I would like to do, if it's okay with you guys, is I already have my astrological calendar filled out, but there's a few spots that are blank. And that always makes me a little nervous. So, whenever that happens, I always go back and check my calendar and check it with the 5 different areas that I have, right? Mary, Field Guy, John, Matt, everybody. I like to just triple check, quadruple check, so that when I go live on Thursday for the show, that'll be available for people to utilize for their planning and their prepping, that they kind of, have an idea that the source isn't completely just fucking made up. Pardon my effing language there. But we want to check in all the different spaces. So I have my calendar up for June. And you guys, tomorrow, Wednesday, it's one of those days that nothing astrologically is happening. There's nothing huge. There's nothing significant. Now, the moon is waxing. Hey, Chet. Hey, Anthony. The moon is waxing. So we are still getting some emotional vibes. And I'm going to pull up the planetary map here. Ooh, baby. So that we can look at it, because a lot of this is sacred geometry. If you're joining us from one of the paranormal shows, this is the ability to use alchemy, sacred geometry, all that statistician crap that got you in trouble in school. I know it did me. It's when you're looking at that and going, oh, okay, this is lined up here. This is the alchemy over there. This is what's going on over here. So I want to, for example, if we're doing yin and yang and you're keeping a count, if you're keeping count on what is an earth, water, air, fire, you've got the sun in Gemini, that's air. You've got Venus in Cancer, that's water. You've got Mars in Leo, that's fire. You've got the moon in Libra, that's air. You've got Pluto in Aquarius, that's air. Saturn in Pisces, that's water. Neptune in Pisces, that's water. Jupiter in Taurus, that's earth. Mercury in Taurus, that's earth. Uranus in Taurus, ooh, that's earth. So now we've got 6/4. So when I'm looking at the planets, we have those 9. We're looking out and counting. Okay, 6/4. It's more heavy on the yin side, right, Dolly? It's a little bit more, and it's like, wow, it doesn't seem that way. But that collective energy is cold. It's callous. It's a lot of thoughts and feelings, a lot of emotional crazy out there. And so looking at what is going to happen on the 31st, that's tomorrow, that's Wednesday. What we do is just kind of look at what is. There's nothing moving or shifting in a way that if you're playing guitar, like you're hearing in the background, there's no particular song playing. There's just the sun in Gemini. This is Gemini season. So that's the idea that the center of your universe is really on the information you're receiving. If you were to get information of blank, blank, and blank, this would definitely change your path. And you know already what that is as I say it. Venus, your money, your art, your love, that's emotional, man. That's in a Cancer space that's going to continue to be quite emotional. Mars, your ego, your will to fight, your want to get into arguments and be a little edgy, as gossip and rumors and information continues to be cold and informative, is in Leo. That's a fiery, egotistical, also brave sign. So there's a lot of accidents. There's a lot of just getting hit smack in the face with things and truly having those physical things happening to you in real life. All of this stuff in Taurus, it's just cold. It's silent. If you are Christian or you're out there doing angelology, you're going to be working with Archangel Uriel. You're going to be working with your ability to be patient, your ability to be silent. This is going to be a big time. It's also a time of crossroads. I don't know if you're out there seeing Bear and Sandy or who your necromancer's guides are. They're going to be afoot because Pluto, the 12th house, the life and death planet, is teetering back and forth in its space, shaking and wobbling on the meniscus there. Whoa, 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 whoa. And so we're seeing and hearing and feeling a lot of big transitional stuff. So I want you to go ahead and put that down. Just kind of keep that in mind for the alchemy. So for those new people joining us for the very first time, welcome. Be sure and put in the chat where you are joining us. And then if you're a future time traveler, what's really fun about this is we are now on Subspace, Odyssey Radio, iHeartRadio, anywhere that you download your favorite podcast, anywhere that you listen in on your app, your wireless device. You can find Astrology and Alchemy and all the future shows that I'm a guest on and that I work with, and No Man's Land as a filler. We do hope you are listening in and following along. Be sure and follow on social media. So, hello from Sacramento, California. Hello from Pennsylvania and Ohio. Hello from Australia. I keep feeling the itchies because I was outside earlier. It's probably just a Minnesota bird, which is the mosquito. They're everywhere. So, let's start June astrology, shall we? We're going to look at the alchemy. We're going to look at the vibes and the feelings. We're going to see what predictions we have for the month. I'm going to do kind of the month as a whole, kind of moving really quickly, the big things. I want to fill in the spots that I have missing. So I'm going to show you my process. And then we're going to move forward. And I'm going to go through some tarot decks that I've received. Someone had asked me recently in a show, what do you mean when a tarot deck has a personality? Psychometry aside, the study of energy as it's left in residual objects aside, there really is, as an artist is depicting something, and tarot is numerology, it's sacred scripture, it's all the things, it's sacred geometry, it's ancestors, it's cool. I love divination with tarot. And every deck is a little different, and they do have a personality. So I'm going to show you what I mean as we kind of go through with that here at the end of tonight's show. So June 1st, write it down. June 1st, I'm going to go to my calendar here. I fill out an Excel spreadsheet. I keep mine and I download them every, at the end of every month, and I keep them, and they're special to me. Okay, guys. So what do we have for the first? Let's kind of go down. Mercury square Lilith. So I don't have that in my Farmer's Almanac. Mercury in Taurus square Lilith. Where is Lilith? I don't know. I don't really follow Lilith. I'm not sure where that is on my planetary calendar. It's not saved there. So if I go and look at it, it says that Lilith is in that thing. What is that thing? That thing. Oh, it's Leo. Juta. Lilith is in Leo. So now that I know that, Lilith and Leo. So Mercury and Taurus. This is cool and calm, quiet, and even silent news or thoughts of the month ahead, with an aspect of our worst fears and highest hopes, because that's Lilith, lingering in the sign of the brave lion. Look out for what we feel we can overcome with a growl, bite, or what do lions do? They chuff or chuff. Know your pride. So the word there is tame and pride. This is really going to play on obedience and compliance. Some of these themes that we see starting off the month, boom, like right there immediately. So I want to go ahead and put that down, clawing your way through, right? Wednesday morning is going to be great. Awesome. Thank you, Mary. I think June is going to be a month for us to slow down and digest what we went through. Steph, there's going to be a lot more too, right? Still Tuesday night here. So we are Paranormal Real Estate. Dang, I missed my month of May. That's okay. You can go back and listen to them. They're saved. But of course, that time has passed. But what's fun about it is I download these every month. You can always ask for the month and then look back. If you journal, you're someone who actively keeps, and Facebook and social media helps with that too, almost unconsciously, to go back and see what was going on. You can begin to track the patterns and see how astrology actually helps you be prepared. So Steph shares, and she's one of my favorite astrologers in the chat, that Lilith is the embracing the shadow side, using those things that may be unspoken. So don't be afraid of that. It's like that Achilles heel, which is why in the ritual suggestion, I put taming and pride, because it's that just kind of knowing what's around you, because it's that moment in the Lion King where he growls at the hyenas and it's really his dad behind him. We have so much behind us that is unseen. And if we're brave enough to step into it, we're still going to get maybe the reaction we want, but not because of the reason that we think. So some of that shadow work is the unconscious stuff that we do in therapy or meditation or just in your own self-care reflection spaces. So it's not, that you have to be doing witchcraft out in some circle. You might even be doing it just as you sit playing the guitar or doing whatever, hanging out with your pets. Mary, my cat is snoring. This is really kind of a fun portal and new season solstice space, June. And so as we can see, starting strong right there. But Friday, June 2nd, Venus is in Cancer, trine Neptune in Pisces, what I have written down. So let me know, guys, if you have anything different. I don't have any holes there. And what I'm doing is I'm just double checking right now. So the second, I have Venus and Neptune. Yep. And then on the second, I don't have anything for the third on this one, but I have two things on the fourth. And it's like, okay, I go over here and I go, okay, the third. I've got something for the third. That's the full moon. The fourth. Yep. I've got something for the fourth. I don't have two things for the fourth. So I'm kind of going to go back to that calendar where it was showing the fourth full moon in Gemini and Mercury conjunct Uranus. So I'm going to go Mercury conjunct Uranus is that same thing. And it's a full moon on the 3rd. This one is saying it's a full moon on the 4th. So then it's like, okay, in the chat room, Steph says, I have it on the 3rd. And I also have it on the 3rd. But this website, which is Astrology, which will go out to like Vogue and all of the major stuff, has it on the 4th. So isn't that kind of interesting? It's probably happening late in the evening. And that's going to be something, again, it might depend on where in the world you are as it crosses over into your hemisphere. But I'm keeping mine on the 3rd. So then on the 5th, Venus enters Leo, Venus opposite Pluto. I've got that written down, so that looks good. Venus enters Leo, Venus opposite Pluto. Okay, I have a big hole here on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. So it's like, what? Why do I have a hole here? I want to go and look in all the different places for the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And there's also a hole here, but not quite as big. So let's see what they have for the 5th. Check. The 6th, there's nothing. They have nothing for the 6th. So I'm wondering, for those of you out there, if you follow along with me and do astrology, it's, again, kind of rare, like on Wednesday tomorrow, to not see anything really happening or any major movements. It doesn't happen all that often. Usually things are out there moving around in a planetary fashion that does affect us. So I'm going to go to the 7th where it says Venus square the north node. That's important. Venus square the north node. And I'm going to go and look at what those signs are in. And that's Cancer. And I'm looking at my looks like Gemini. So you've got Cancer and Gemini there. So Venus in Cancer squaring the north node in Gemini. So how do we feel like, what the heck does that mean? Steph says, yeah, I don't have much for the 6th through the 10th either, Sarah. So good. That makes me feel good to know that those people I'm collaborating with, for when Thursday comes, it'll be the 1st of the month. I will have sent out my stuff to my gypsy tribe. I will feel very good. On the 7th, she says, I have the moon in Aquarius. I also have moon waning, and I don't have that written down, so I'm going to put it in there because I do add the moon phases. Venus and Cancer, art, money, and sex are emotional and feeling wishy-washy. This is normal to not have a secure footing at this time and feel waves of change. The North Node in Gemini reminds us that we need to keep both ears open to positive change and detox the negative energy in our space. You don't have a lot you can control. And so the North Node is really important in that way. Moon waning, the moon, feelings minimizing slowly as they go from water energy into air season. The sun is drying up all the rain. And that's like the itsy bitsy spider get up the water spout. And then I have on the 7th, one more thing, believe it or not. What? The sun in Gemini sextile Lilith. What? Okay, so that's a lot. Sun and Gemini sextile Lilith and Leo. So motivations and internal drives are being discussed and communicated with unconscious fires of passion and life lessons. Ooh, that's going to be kind of wild. Listen up, not down. That's very important, I would say, for Lilith stuff. Let me know in the chat room, guys, if you agree and how you feel like that might make sense. Right? North Node says Mary in the chat room. And this is something that, you know, in astrology, it's going to be something that you find on your birth chart, and it symbolizes like your path. It's kind of your overall aura, or if you had a motto or a mission. You know, I have a birthday book that has all this information about each particular day, and at the very bottom it has like a statement or a sentence. That's kind of how I see that North Node. It's kind of giving you a little peephole, the northern star, if you will, to what direction a person is kind of going in their space. And you guys, you can reach out to me for birth charts. You can also use free apps or calculators. And north and south nodes, those are mathematical points in your birth chart that when you know your latitude, longitude, and time and all of that, it's going to give you an indication of your path in life. So just whether or not that's something that you feel is important. This would suggest that there's a wind in the air blowing everybody, the North Node in Gemini, like, did you hear? Did you hear? And really, this is take advice. This is listen. This is advice and discussion are key. So if somebody says, hey, you want to go out for coffee and just kind of talk, you may not feel like it, but it might be a really great time to do that in the next week. And I know, like for me personally, I'm going to be at a conference. I'm going to be out driving, networking, shaking hands. I look down, I go, man, is this going to be a good time to be doing that? If somebody were asking me, is this going to be a great time for my conference? How's my speech going to go? Or the emails that I send? It's a really great time for that because people are looking to make major life change and they're looking to surround themselves with good people. So it's a really good vibe to be doing that. So keep that in mind. All right, guys, let's keep full steam ahead because I'm just kind of looking through here until I get to about 30 or 45 minutes because we're going to do another show on Thursday, Matt and I. We're going to do the week ahead with his additions, but then also maybe some personality traits with songs as we go. So I want to keep filling in. I have my next spot is the 8th open. This almanac that I'm looking at has nothing for the 8th. It has a whole lot for the 11th, which, yes, that makes sense. And what I do like to see about the 8th is that that falls on a Saturday. So I'm just going to kind of double check. Thursday. Really? Why is that? Please don't say I have my numbers all the way down. No, I have it right. Thursday, June 8th. Yeah, that's a Thursday. Okay. The 10th is a Saturday that doesn't have a whole lot going on. So the 8th, nothing. I don't have anything, and that's a Thursday. So it's kind of like a quiet Thursday. So keep your eyes open. And Steph said, don't forget the strawberry full moon illuminates desires for honesty and enlightenment and freedom. Let go of feelings. Let it go. We're going to do it. Let it go. Let it go. Feelings of restriction or how you've been bogged down. Try to find that information this full moon. Ask for it from your spirit guides. Pay attention and you will get the answers you need. The strawberry moon. It's going to be fun. So really like hearing that. And it's a great moon as far as like ripening your life, right? Things of that nature. So the 8th, nothing. The 9th, Mercury and Taurus, sextile Neptune and Pisces. Cool. I go and I kind of double check that. Yep. Mercury, Neptile. Okay. Yep. The 10th. Do I have anything on the 10th? No. And there's nothing on the 10th in this one either. So I'm looking at 4 different places with nothing on the 10th. Steph, don't know if you have that as well, but we're going to go ahead and move past the 10th. Man, the 11th, you guys, that's a day on your calendar if you are skeptical of astrology. If you are skeptical, if you are worried or wondering, or just interested in research. June 11th, it's a Sunday. It's going to be a major day for a change. It's a Sunday before Father's Day Sunday. So it's 1 week before Father's Day. 4 major things happening. Boom shakalaka. Mercury, Pluto retrograde, Mercury changing into a new sign, Venus squaring off with Jupiter. This is not a day to expect people to do anything productive and a lot of big shifts. So really know that. June 11th, there's some big shaking and a quaking going on. And to keep that in mind, if you want to have, some insight into anything particular, what days to pay attention to, the 11th might be a day to just see how things shift for you and in what way. I'm going to take a little sip of my drink there. Pay attention on that day. Okay. Then the 12th and 13th, I have another big hole. Steph says, yeah, she's got a crap ton on the 11th. I do as well. It's like 4 or 5 different movements and they're all major. So the 11th is kind of significant, guys. And so that'll still be 2 weeks away that we're doing that in the astrological breakdown where we really focus on that week. But just know that's a day on your calendar. Put a little sticker. Look out. And then to then look at the calendar and go, ooh, after that big shitstorm, we don't have anything on the docket for 2 days, 3 days. That's weird. But then when you think, well, depending on what really goes down, dollies, like those parallel lines, that's a big old skip. Depending on what happens, that needle doesn't come back to the record really until the 15th. What? The 12th, the 13th, and the 14th is quiet. So astrologers out there, I don't know if you have anything else. Steph says, well, the 13th, the moon is waning in Taurus. So we can always put that moon waning in Taurus. What does that mean? Well, feelings. Always put the word feelings in place of the moon. Feelings, lessening, and heartache becoming smaller as the overthinking and planning comes into focus. Less heart and more head is the vibe. So the ritual suggestion on that is just know the lines between your heart and brain fall at the vocal cords. That really is some of the power of our manifestation and speaking is what is it that you're going to allow to be spoken as it goes between those places? Are you going to allow it to be done quietly? The Taurus energy is usually very quiet. So I would expect that from all the people around you. If you're going through heartache or you're going through relationship shifts, that those thoughts are going to go from heavy feelings to more serious thoughts, but you may not hear a lot about it, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that there's not a shift happening, because there is. There absolutely is. And within ourselves too. So Wednesday, June 14th, nothing. What? It's true. I don't have anything down for the 14th. It's that 15th, Mercury squaring off with Saturn. Yeah, I've got that. I've also, is there anything else on the 15th? Nope. Mercury sextile Venus on the next day. Mercury sextile Venus. And we just saw Mercury is now going to be in Gemini. So Mercury in Gemini, sextile Venus. What will Venus be in at that point? In Leo. Sextile Venus and Leo. This is Friday the 16th. So this is going to be, Mercury is communication and discussion will be two-sided, well-winded, discussed and discussed again with many parties as it harmonizes with passionate waves of nurturing energy. Siren-like charm will be discussed. The ritual suggestion would really be some neurolinguistic programming. Mind your tone, your volume, and your voice. Like really know your soundtrack on the 16th. That's going to be pretty important. And so I'm just kind of adding this. And what's really cool, guys, if you join us weekly, usually I have a co-host, Matt. He's going to be joining us on Thursday since it's Memorial Day week and things are a little different. And when I've already done this, like I will have done June, so that when June 1st is here, I've done the whole month. I will meditate on this after we disconnect. I will have a whole thing. I'll pull a few cards. I'll have a whole idea of what this feels like. And then Matt will chime in and he will say things that are very similar to what we've written. He's not looking at the suggestions or the psychic intuitive vibes. He's not psychoanalyzing any of it like I do. I'm the forensic psychologist in this space. And so that's kind of what I'm overthinking. He usually comes at it with that like autistic, objective, sharp, amazing ability to look at the math and say that the projection is this. This is what's happening. So that's going to be really cool. Steph says we have that Saturn starting the station retro flip-flop in Pisces on the 17th. Saturn goes retrograde in Pisces that morning. That's correct. And I have that written down. Lifting the ban, major rule changes. I expect some major rule changes. There's also a new moon in Gemini that same day on the 17th. That's a big day. The 18th, I have the sun in Gemini squaring off with Neptune and Pisces. That'll be a emotional day. That's just going to be wild. Monday, June 19th, Jupiter in Taurus, sextile Saturn in Pisces. I'm kind of looking for holes right now and just looking for consistencies. The 19th, I have two things on this one and not on the other. So I want to go back and just check what two things are written over here. And why do I not have two over there? Okay, so let's look. I have Jupiter, Taurus, Saturn, Pisces. Jupiter, Saturn, Pisces. The sun squaring off with Neptune, it says. Do I have that before? The day before? I do. So then what does it have the day before? It has a new moon in Gemini. Well, I don't have that on the 18th. I have that on the 17th. So again, it's almost like the person who did this was off a day, because I'm looking at two different farmers' almanacs and their days are slightly off. So I wonder if the person actually isn't in a different part of the world, like right on a hemisphere, that it's going to kind of shift a little different for them maybe. We've got Saturn starting that station. Steph and I are on the same page. So my farmer's almanac and I are on the same page. So I'm going to kind of keep moving. Sorry, Astro Cafe type stuff. I'm not trusting you or looking at you. Okay. So yeah, I have a hole on the 20th, Tuesday, the 20th. I want to see if this has anything happening on the 20th. It doesn't have anything happening on the 20th. Weird. So those of you out there, let me know if you have any astrological movements happening on the 20th. I do not. So I'm going to keep on moving and a cruising. The 21st, a crap ton. Mars, Mercury, the sun, Mercury, Mars, and Mercury. Wait, Mars conjunct Lilith. Solstice entering the sun and Cancer. Mercury and Gemini, sextile Mars and Leo. Themes of Lilith movements. A lot of shadow work there. Mercury sextile Mars, boom. Yeah, there's just, a whole lot of stuff on the summer solstice, which would make sense. The summer solstice is a pretty active time. Steph says, on the 20th, I have the moon waning in Leo. So we'll go ahead and add that, fill in a gap. Thank you. Moon waning in Leo. So that is feelings, minimizing over the ego, the passion and drive is starting to become a low burning fuel rather than a raging fire. Keep the inner control burning. I would almost say aloe vera magic is going to be the shadow work for that day. The ability to kind of work with holistic remedies. Hello, Jacine, and different things. Steph has me on. I've got 626 Mercury moving into Cancer in a really serious way. So let me go down and see if I have any other little holes here to fix before I pull out some of my tarot cards and finish the night strong with maybe some free readings here. Friday, June 23rd, I have a hole. So let me go and look what's happening over here. Friday, June 23rd, I have a hole. I don't have anything on the 23rd or the 24th. So if you have anything on the 23rd or 24th in your almanac or things that are going on in your realm, let me know, because that's the next big hole. An old burning Yule? I don't know, Dolly. I don't, for the solstice, I usually am doing light magic. The return of the longest day of the year is like, I don't know, anything sun related and light related, fire related, all of those things. Sure, why not have a Yule log? You could do one of those. Friday the 23rd, really nothing. Saturday, June 24th, nothing. That's kind of interesting. I don't have anything there. So Sunday, June 25th, I've got Mercury in Gemini. Yep. Monday, June 26th, Mars in Leo, Mercury entering Cancer. Tuesday, June 27th. The 27th. I have two things happening on the 27th, which that's not right. Mercury in Cancer sextile the North Node in Taurus. Mercury and what did I just say? Is that going to be Cancer? Yeah, I guess it is. And Cancer. Mercury and Cancer. Sextile North Node in Taurus. Mercury and Cancer. Sextile North Node in Taurus. Man, so communication and thought patterns of life lessons, themes of direction, and stubborn life hardships ripple through discussions. It's going to be kind of an interesting thing to, again, there's going to be a lot of advice going around, people talking about shit. You said Mercury into Cancer. There you go. The 23rd, Moon wanes into Virgo. Do I have that? The 23rd. Oh, she's helping me. Moon waning into Virgo, did she say? Because that's my moon. It is into Virgo. Yes. On the 23rd. Feelings minimizing over OCD and how to nurture better. Calm can move over oneself as self-care becomes more of a focus. Great. The 24th, the 24th, if you have anything, let me know. I don't have anything. That's my kind of remaining hole there. 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, Sun in Cancer. 29th, Mercury in Cancer, Saturn in Pisces. The 30th, Neptune retrograde. That's going to be really horrific. That really is going to be horrific. It really is going to be fucking scary. Mercury trine Saturn. Do I have that going down? No, I don't have that going down. But I don't have anything for the 31st. So I'm wondering if that I had it for the 29th or 30th. Mercury trine Saturn. It's on the 30th. Okay, so then that puts me down all the way through the end of June. The only thing that I do not have, Steph, as far as a big hole, is there at the end, Saturday, June 31st. I don't have anything written in for that space. So we can kind of see as we look over the themes in June, you see some of the big major movements, the days that have major compounding things and conjunct aspects. These are different musical vibrations and energetic frequencies than other days that are going to affect you quite differently. So I work in social work and I also, have kids and things like that. So being able to stay on top of that is really key. It helps me have a little bit more awareness. June only has 30 days. Oh, is that why? Is that for real? Does June only have 30 days? I really thought I had 31. Oh, well, there you go. That's why. So I can take out that day. Thank you. Delete row. Boom. And then what I do is I just double check all of my spelling. I double check all the things. And then I kind of go back through some of the days that I feel specifically called to or I have predictions for. And you better believe I'm going to pull some cards. So now I'm going to minimize all my screens. I don't need all these screens up. Mary says, man, I'm just listening. And most of this is further ahead than I can cope with. Right? And you just feel like, dang, I just want to do this week to week, which is why when we do our astrological show, Matt and I, we just do 7 days at a time. Because otherwise you're looking at it, and I look at it monthly, I look at it yearly, I look at it quarterly. I do things in kind of a way that I have found that helps me. But you guys, let's finish these last 15 to 20 minutes with some free readings. I want you to let me know if a particular deck calls to you, but I'm going to give you an idea. And if you're listening in, it'll be kind of interesting because there is a visual representation here as well. Obviously, the visual vibe changes the vibe. But recently I came into some new tarot decks. Guys, I have a great collection of tarot decks. Divination as a whole. Runes, bones, palm reading, books, pendulums, tarot decks, Kanzari cards, oracle decks, you name it. I probably have it. If you have a really cool one, you can always send them my way too. But what is interesting? Steph said, oh my God, I was like, I lost a day all these years. I really did think that June had 31 days. That's okay. All right, guys. So let's kind of go through here and I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to pull a particular day or a particular theme, or if you're joining in and this deck calls to you, I want you to go ahead and just visualize whatever your question is. So this deck, if you are someone out there looking to buy your own deck, or you want me to buy you a deck, because the tradition is that you don't buy your first deck, you have someone buy it for you. And that's kind of a superstition of alchemy and divination. The idea that if you're choosing it, it has very much your own energy and it'll be difficult for you to divinate in the way that tarot wants. You want it to be of yang and you are the yin, yada, yada. Anyway, oftentimes people will contact me and say, here's $60, go buy me a deck and mail it to me and do a reading or something. And I'm always really honored to choose somebody's first deck for them. And I have found a lot of really cool decks over the years for myself doing that as well. So I go and buy decks all the time and I'll gift them on occasion. Or someone will say, hey, I want a reading with this particular deck, or I'm really an Edgar Allan Poe fan, or I'm a, whatever. And I want to personalize those readings to you. So I keep a lot of decks for that reason. At least that's what I tell myself. So this one is the Ink Witch Tarot deck, which I love black and white tattoos. I love gestalt, scribbles. I have a big fondness for books that are written in and read over and dog-eared. And so knowing that this was a deck that was mostly illustrations kind of drawn and that they were witchy themed, I think that's a pretty vague word. So I was like, I wonder what the witch deck is going to be. Is it going to be like, colonial witch, or is it going to be like a plague doctor witch, or is it going to be a witch with a hat like Wicked, or, what are we looking at here? Because the design on the outside of all of the cards is pretty generic. It's very pretty. It reminds me of wallpaper. It reminds me like I'm sitting in an old house, like the Belvoir Winery, like I'm in an old inn. It's also symmetrical. It has some like ivy or fern. So I kind of got the sense of my grandma with this deck, kind of fun and welcoming. And so if this deck is one that's speaking to you, go ahead and formulate a question. I'll think of a question too. And then to get an idea of the personality of this deck, boom. So the Ace of Wands. You kind of see the illustration here. It's fun, lightly colored. It's pretty bland. It's not overly detailed. It's very simple. Now, if you're someone who studies tarot, you know that all the tarot always mean the exact same thing. So if you know what all the meanings are, which it's very based on numerology, it's very easy to understand. If you're struggling with it, please let me know and I'll give you some of my tips and tricks. The ace is the beginning, the spark, the spirit bead, right? If you're playing blackjack, it's 11 aura, a 1. It's the ace, but it is the spark of the beginning. And wands is of fire, like a tool, something you're doing, an action that you're engaging in, like Merlin saying, thou shalt not pass. So this is someone plucking a wand, plucking their item out of the hat, almost as if it was Mary Poppins pulling out her shelf and mirror and plant and things from her teeny tiny little bag. How does that happen? How do you do that? This is almost awe and epiphany of how someone manages to do something. And it really is just the ability to pluck something almost like out of magic And this would kind of illustrate that that's what's about to happen. If you were thinking about a question, the answer is the spark of creation is being plucked from the hat now, and the beginning of action is happening. So be ready. Yes. Okay. Yes. I like this deck. Let's pull one more card just so you can see the art. A deer. Ooh, very pretty. Very simple. There's a little king. Okay. Maybe I'll pull another one so you can kind of see what the art looks like. Oh, another ace. Man, we're getting a lot of aces. Of pentacles, just a simple hand. Pentacles is of diamonds, of foundation, the beginning, the mustard seed of your investment. Look, she's dropping it in the earth like a little seed with the ring on her hand, like wealth, the beginning, the spark of a investment. I love this. And so it's very positive. It's very simple and welcoming and inviting. They're easy to look at. They're easy to interpret. And as Dolly said, very subdued artwork. So the name, The Ink Witch by Eric Mayle, The Ink Witch, I don't know if I would call it that. I don't know if that's the correct name for this deck, but I definitely feel as I use this deck, it has a really calm and gentle energy. If somebody was maybe new to tarot, they had never had a reading before and were maybe nervous or scared, I would go to that deck in a heartbeat. I really like it. Now, completely different deck. Let's see what the energy is here, and you'll see what I mean. This is my Hoodoo Tarot. Now, I love Hoodoo. Hoodoo and Voodoo. I love the offshoots of Catholicism and African religion. I love the cultures of cryptic, hidden things through oppression that have endured. And Hoodoo and Voodoo magic of the Southern Creole areas in North America, I'm very fond of. Some of my spirit guides are Creole and that French, you have the Rolls doll and the baker's mark, and you have different spaces where indigenous people were kind of moved like cattle through points of what's the word I'm looking for when you're coming into the country? Points of immigration. And Louisiana was one of them. And so my sister lived there for many years, and I used to go spend the summer with her, and the food and the culture and the music, the language. I love it. So I want you to think of a question. You'll see what I mean. This is kind of spooky on the outside, very feminine, powerful, superstition, mysterious, kind of complicated and detailed, but darker colors. And I thought, ooh, okay, I really am drawn to this magic, and I'm drawn to these scribbles and these tattoos. I've considered doing my whole body in tomb art, specifically that of like the cemeteries in Southern America. But this deck has a different vibe. I want you to imagine your question, a thought that you might have, something that you need additional guidance for. Boom. It is almost an abstract picture as I pull it. The daughter of baskets. The daughter, you have usually the 10, then you have the jack, or, the knight, the page, or the knight. The page is the more passive and feminine, under the knight, who's more masculine and pointed and phallic. And so daughter or son, sometimes also in decks, this is much more ancestral. So it has daughters. Cool. So it's the intern, it's the page, right up from the number 10. And then it tells you that it's baskets. That's a vessel. That's something that's holding something. So that's cups. That's your cup or your, wine glass or your vessel. And baskets, very much of, what you're doing as far as plucking fruits and cotton and different things on the farm and in the South, even baskets for fishing, baskets for weaving, baskets for hemp. This was something that was used. And as far as a vessel, it almost goes into like that blood, sweat, and tears. The daughter of baskets would suggest that you are not the prince, you're not in line for the lineage, but that you would need a dowry, and that your emotional baggage, but also your emotional intuition and your emotional gifts are something that you bring to the table. It's a little bit more, not pessimistic, but a little heavier looking, a little heavier feeling, a little bit more complicated in its message. I'll show you some of the other cards. Boom. This is the 9 of Sticks, or what would be Wands, kind of an older woman holding a gun with these skulls on sticks in the background. You have a man with a stick out on his front porch, the Son of Knives. Oh, it's a knife he's holding. And he's out there getting ready to probably fend somebody off from his property. This, you've got the 2 of Sticks or 2 of Wands, the silhouette of the man walking as he's going out on his path, both hands full of something. You can see the energy and the vibe of this is completely different. So this would be maybe a deck for someone who has a little bit more experience in tarot, a little bit more interest in the culture, maybe someone who really does want to touch base with their ancestors, who might be pessimistic and a little bit more hard-skinned, wanting to hear, give it to me, give me the facts, more objective and masculine. And I really feel like that's important. So Steph says, so is the message of the Daughter of Baskets to trust your heart and intuition? I would say the daughter is someone who knows it well, and she's going to be carrying her mother's milk and her grandmother's DNA. So that in-your-face art of the suggestion that your emotional baggage is both your experience, but how you taint things in your own way is heavy. But your intuition, definitely to follow it and to know it, the shadow work, as we might suggest. So you guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off here and complete tonight's Astrology and Alchemy, because it needs to be at a certain time length for those listening on Subspace. But I'm going to jump right back on and finish my remaining 2 decks to show you what a personality and energy of tarot looks like. If you want to stay behind and continue to get a free reading, stay with me, and be sure to download Subspace and Odyssey Radio to tune into Astrology and Alchemy more often, guys. If you are new tonight, I really enjoyed having you. And if you're a continued listener, thank you so much for your support. You can check me out at paranormalsarah.com for readings, for divination, for all sorts of cool stuff. And definitely sign up for anything on social media so that you can follow along with all the cool retreats, events, conferences, and shows that we, myself, and other people I collaborate with are doing. All right, guys, stay tuned on wherever you are listening, and I will refresh, do some free readings for you. Thanks, guys.